What is up, guys? Hope you all are doing good. Welcome to another ride and review, do you call it? Alright, let's give it a go. Okay, nice and smooth. As for the looks, I don't have any complaints. For the CBR, it looks fantastic from every angle you look at it. I really don't want to dig too much into the looks, you guys judge for yourself. Let's get into the more important things. Okay, so let's start with the handling first. No complaints whatsoever. The handling is top class on this bike. Unlike most sports bike, this one has a very upright sitting position, so you don't have to quite lean forward. Your wrist doesn't have to be in a position where you get some sort of irritation or it might cause some sort of pain. This one is absolutely amazing in that sense. If you are one of those expert riders, you can play around with it from any angle you like. Next up, gear shifting is super smooth. Like, I ride a Suzuki and I know the difference here. This one is extremely smooth. There is barely any lag or any crankiness on the gears. You just shift at will whenever needed. At any speed, it will give you enough feedback and smoothness. Definitely one of the best gears in the sports bike segment. As for the engine, it sounds smooth, it revs smooth. It's 150cc, produces 17.1 bhp. As for the acceleration, this one is pretty good. What I mean by pretty good is I wish it had a little bit more torque. I mean, when you look at the bike, you definitely get that fierce look from it. It's not mandatory, it's not compulsory at all by any means, but what I'm saying is if it had a bit more horsepower like the competitor GSX-R and the R15V3, if only they had given that extra 2 horsepower, this bike could have been flawless. I mean, obviously it has some other shortcomings, but that extra 2 horsepower could have made a big difference and probably made the equation more balanced. But again, you have to look at the price range compared to the other bikes. And of course, Honda doesn't really go for powers in terms of performance. It has always been reliability, mileage, comfort, and you get it all from this bike. As for the suspension, let's find out. Yeah, it's pretty jerky if you have a bumpy road. If it's a smooth road, it goes fluently. But if there is a bit of a jerky road, then you will definitely feel the shocks. Overall riding experience, this is the only sports bike that I've been riding a lot, and I can tell you I'm a big fan of this bike already. In every other sports bike I tried, there was always some sort of concern with the comfort, be it handling or be it having a bit of a back pain or some sort of wrist pain, and probably some strain you feel after a long ride. But this one, I never felt anything at all. It has always been so relaxing. I remember I rode this bike once for about 2 hours, pretty much straight, and I felt no discomfort at all. Rather, I enjoyed it so much that I was like, you know, if I buy a sports bike, this has to be it. Brilliant bike. Honestly, the feedback, the handling, the brakes, yeah, I forgot about the brakes. The ABS makes a big difference, especially if you come from a bike that doesn't have ABS. So for example, my bike doesn't have ABS, and I remember the first time I rode this bike, I was riding my bike and then I came to this one and it was a bit of a shocker. Anyhow, enough raving about the bike. Let's get to some of the negative sides. First negative side, the plastic materials. They are extremely fragile and weak. You can see just by moving it, you know, it's very soft. And obviously all bikes are made of plastic these days, but this one particularly has very weaker plastic. For example, look at this one. So every time a pillion sits, obviously there is no grab handle or something. So what they do is they usually tend to hold this one or put a bit of a pressure here, and see, very easily it comes out. Look, there's a crack. I don't want to crack it more. And this is not the first time. I met another CBR rider. He showed me the exact same thing. It pretty much came out from this part. So that is definitely the first negative side. The second big issue is the chain. The owner actually had to change the chain, and I think pretty much every Honda has this issue. I mean, if not every Honda, but this issue is particularly common with Hondas, and this is no exception. The chain gets loose or it comes out, and even after you change it, it keeps happening. I'm not an expert, I don't know why it happens and why it happens with Honda only. And yeah, obviously no engine kill switch. I think no point talking about it because no Honda has it anyways, especially the smaller bikes. It is a negative side, but it's so common that it's not worth mentioning. The horn is in a very weird position. Usually we are used to using the horn from this position, but they switched it with the indicators and I don't know why they did it. It makes the whole experience very uncomfortable. Like, I just can't get used to it. I keep on pressing here, but it turns out up there. And when you keep on doing it few times, especially in heavy traffic, that will be a concern. Apart from those, I think this bike is pretty good from every segment. And a few suggestions, but not complaints. Like I said, if it had the extra 2 horsepower and the upside down forks. Thirdly, the speedometer. I find it kinda backdated. Like, it is the latest ones, I suppose, but look at the ones they're using in X-Motion, or for example on the R15 and MTs. They look big, they look more precise, more information. But again, you have to think about the price range, what it offers in this price. Forget about the price in our country, it's not even justifiable talking about it. But if you actually consider the actual price of these bikes in the origin countries, then you know they are not very expensive with what they offer. Anyhow, to sum it up, I think this is a fantastic bike. If you are thinking about it, go ahead without any hesitation. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, the mileage is excellent on this bike. It's I think it's 40 to 45 on average with our cheap petrol in Bangladesh. Cheap as in bad quality petrol. And I saw an Indonesian guy talk about it and he said they get usually 50 plus. So imagine a sports bike giving that much mileage. But yes, we are talking in context of Bangladesh, so still it's pretty good. If you're getting 40 out of it, it's awesome. I always say like Honda bikes are more like Toyota cars. They are always reliable. You can ride them for as long as you want, as long as you maintain it properly. It will keep on producing awesome rides without any hassle. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. This bike has a special feature called a bank angle sensor. So what it does is, in case of any accident or if the bike goes on an angle of 70 degrees, the bike automatically shuts down. And I think that is a fantastic feature that every bike should have. And yes, this also has this lock system where you use this end of the key to unlock one part first and then insert the key. That makes it a little bit harder for the thieves. I think so. So yeah, I think this is a complete package, I would say. A very all-rounder bike. If you want to go for a short ride, just want to use it for a commuter, or go for a long ride. If I had to sum up this bike with one sentence, I would just say this is a true gentleman's sports bike. Anyways guys, I think that's all for today. This was literally my second time reviewing a bike. I hope you guys found it useful. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, if you did, give it a thumbs up. I usually don't ask for it, but since I don't usually do it, and I'm experimenting on it actually. So yeah, if you liked it, if it was useful in any way, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Let's give it a try on a more bumpier road, more like off-roading with a CBR. It isn't bad at all. The front suspension is slightly stiffer